Yo, what's good, everybody? It's your boy, Golden Falls, Golden What If, whatever you want to call me. And I'm back. This is the finale of What If Deku had a Pokemon Quirk. And as always, if you enjoy, show some love. Leave a like, leave a sub, leave a comment down below. So this will come out. And then the next day following this video, you will get the movie of Pokemon Quirk Deku. In terms of what I'm doing after that, I'm not 100% sure. There's a lot on the list. So, I mean, we'll see. But as always, I hope y'all enjoyed, like I said. And let's get into the finale. Let's get it. Izuku Midoriya is commended for what he has done with All For One and what he did against All For One. And there are many people out there that believe that Izuku, frankly, should be a hero here and now. But, of course, we all know that's not necessarily how it works. You can't just become a hero. He's too young, and also he's very inexperienced. Even though he beat, well, the greatest villain or the most threatful villain ever, he still is inexperienced, at least to a certain extent. So everybody kind of conforms to the idea that maybe they just allow him and gift him a provisional hero license. And this would be pretty agreed upon pretty quickly. And this would only just skip a little bit ahead in terms of what he has to do and what he was supposed to do in the first place. Izuku would continue back to UA and would continue his normal training. And that normal training would be pretty basic overall. Izuku would work on super moves, but let's be honest, almost everything he does is a super move. And his whole thing is more or less just learning and evolving and just trying to get better with what he already could do. And that starts with, well, his Greninja form. That's something that he wants to do and actually get better at. And that's exactly what he's doing. He gets better at this, his Greninja form, and he continues to actually adapt with certain things. Izuku would continue this training, and eventually some people, actually known as the Big Three, would show up at their classroom. They would explain that they want to explain, or they would tell all of them that they would be speaking about the work study and that what's going to happen and what's going on and so forth. And of course, some of them are going, or all of them except for Izuku, are going to have to go and do their provisional hero licensing exams. But for Izuku, he kind of just learns more about what's going to happen with the work study, and he's actually going to be shipped off first. But that's not before he gets a shot at Mirio. He wants to challenge Mirio, and, well, let's just say this fight was one that was a spectacle. And Mirio goes head to head with Izuku, and Izuku's speed is what really keeps him in it by a long shot. Mirio might be unorthodox. He might be hard to hit and almost impossible to hit, but overall, well, let's just say Mirio is falling behind. Because once Izuku starts kind of realizing what's happening, and once he starts understanding what's happening, Izuku starts overtaking the kind of unorthodoxness of well, Mirio's skill and ability. And that's just with one of his Pokemon forms. He could switch to a completely different form, his Medicham form, and kind of just manipulate the space around Mirio and probably immediately win. But he decides to, go against that. He doesn't really want to do that necessarily. But maybe that's something he'll think about later on. Izuku, though, on the other hand, would have a good battle with him, but eventually it would be halted, and Mirio would bring up the fact that Sir Night-Eye wants to actually speak with him because, well, he knows. And that's it. It was a pretty ominous little remark, but of course, they kind of already know what's going on, and Izuku agrees to do this, and soon after, he would arrive at the work study. Sir Night-Eye's work study, he wouldn't really be challenged or tested or anything like that. He would actually be brought into the fold, and Sir Night-Eye would bring up that if he's in such graces with All Might, that there's no reason for him to test him any further. And on top of that, he helped All Might defeat one of the greatest of villains ever, and also a big villain group. Now that is something that is absolutely a spectacle. and something that everyone could be proud of and the future of heroes could look after. And of course, Sir Night-Eye thinks that Izuku is the best of all of them. Honestly, maybe all of them combined and even better. With all that said though, Izuku kind of just takes all of this in and eventually would be brought into the fold about the one and only Overhaul. Overhaul is very, very interesting. And the reason for this is Overhaul is kind of in a weird position. Overhaul is doing these weird things and horrible things, and he's trying to more or less eliminate quirks entirely, but there's a lot of things that they are missing in terms of the clues and in terms of just everything they need to know. In which, of course, Izuku wants to figure all of that out as well, and once they can, and once they're available, Mirio and him begin to go on patrols, like almost immediately. And well, if luck brought it upon them, it seems as if Overhaul was brought on a silver platter right in front of them, in which Mirio would try to calm the situation. But of course, Overhaul would look at the kid and would kind of question who he is exactly. He's never seen a hero like him around here, or doesn't look familiar at least. And Izuku wouldn't say much, as he has the little girl that ran out of the alleyway in his arms, and he would look back at Overhaul and say that he might recognize him from, and as he's about to say something, Mirio cuts him off, saying that Izuku was actually part of a most recent TV show documentary, and that's probably where he saw him from. Izuku would look at Mirio and would agree, and Izuku would basically put Eri on his back. And as he does, he tells Overhaul that more or less he's actually known from this documentary for his quirk. It's kind of a funny one, so if he doesn't mind, he would love to show him. And it's actually a cool little thing, and Eri would probably love it. In which he thinks, and Overhaul tries to play it off like this is fine and cool and dandy, and he kind of laughs this off, and he says, oh, you know what, why not? We're not in too big of a hurry, so go right ahead. Izuku would then transform, and he would immediately transform into his Mega Medicham form, and immediately Overhaul would begin to levitate, stuck in midair, and he would refuse to allow Overhaul to move. And Izuku, in a different voice, deeper than usual, would tell Overhaul that they know exactly who he is. And that Mirio, well, he might have not done enough reading up necessarily on the powers that Izuku has, but Izuku says that he knows a lot about his own strength, a lot about his own powers, and he knows Overhaul is not going anywhere. Not even a single inch. Mirio would be shocked to see this, and Mirio would tell him to keep Overhaul in a good area, an area that they won't have to worry about. And Izuku says that's fine. He can't move a single body part anyways, but just in case, Izuku would float him up to the sky where he's away from all buildings as well, and he would hold him up there. Eri would be shocked to see this, but she can see that this powerful person, is beating Overhaul, is beating the person that she's so afraid of, beating the person that has made her fear for her life so much. And this would, in a way, make her happy. But at the same time, she still doesn't crack a smile on her face. But reinforcements would soon come, and Izuku would have Overhaul still floating mid-air. And eventually, when they would arrive, they would kind of scheme what they should do. And Izuku says that if they want to put a quirk-canceling cuff on him, they can. He'll hold him still throughout this entire time. In which he says they need to hurry up a little bit though, because he's been holding them for a while and he's getting tired. He laughs about this slightly as he brings them down, and they slap on quirk-canceling cuffs, and well, it's a wrap for Overhaul. He's taken away, and Overhaul argues that he did nothing wrong, that there's nothing, no proof, no nothing. And Izuku, well, he immediately says that, well, bare minimum, well, he has basically hurting his own child. Look at all of the things that are on her body. That is not just from falling. You gotta be ridiculous to think that. in which they all say that they have other stuff on Overhaul already anyways, and they know that this is Overhaul himself, notorious gang leader of the Shiha Hazaikai. So yeah, they have a lot on him. There is no way around this, and there is no getting out of this through talking. Izuku would have captured Overhaul and they would have brought him in, and that entire thing would be over. Of course, they would need to siege his whole gang and siege what's going to happen next, but having no leader and having that vacancy, that siege and that kind of just run over in the building would be way easier than you could possibly imagine, because Mirio can kind of take the forefront, and so is Izuku. After all of it is said and done, after the takedown of the Shiha Hazaikai and everything goes their way, well, let's just say everything seems to be good, at peace. It seems like the League of Villains were shut down. It seems like everything has come to a halt, and Izuku and everyone else can go back to being students once again. And that's a great part of everything that's going on. They're students. They are not full-time heroes by any means, and not yet. Izuku and everybody in Class 1A go on and do a Class 1A versus Class 1B, and Izuku would be happy to see that he sees Shinso there as well. Someone that he wanted to see get tested, someone that he wanted to see be a hero as well, and he's getting his chance. Shinso is getting his chance. This would make Izuku extremely happy, and this would bring a smile to his face at the end of the day. Izuku would see things kind of in a different direction. There are more things to be done, there are more villains to be captured, but the League of Villains and the Shiha Hazaikai being shut down, well, it seems like they're going to be waiting for the next generation of villains. For now, Izuku watches as Class 1A versus Class 1B continues to thrash on, everybody fighting each other, and Izuku would just be spectating. Aizawa doesn't necessarily want him even interacting. It's kind of unfair, you could say. And Izuku agrees with this, but he also brings up the fact that he could also decide to be in it and not use his quirk, in which he thinks he's insane. But Izuku says that his quirk alone makes him really powerful, and his quirk actually makes his regular self extremely powerful. And Aizawa says that he can do that if he really wants to, that he'll put him on the team that he was going to be on in the first place, but at the same time, he doesn't really need to. In which Izuku, well, he wants to see what he can do with One For All without his Pokemon quirk, and that's exactly what he does. He takes on the likes of Shinso, the likes of many others, Monoma, and many more from Class 1B. But even the fight against him without his quirk seems unfair, because Izuku is super strong just as a normal human being, and his comfortability with One For All through his Pokemon kind of abilities kind of elevated to a large extent. And the reason for this is just how much he's using One For All technically in his Pokemon state. And Izuku could easily use 20, 30, 40%, especially with how strong he really is in his regular form. He would dominate, and he would easily beat the people there, obviously with a couple little struggles here and there. Nothing like too major though, and Izuku's team would clearly win, and it would be kind of like a consolation win at the end of the day, because they would already be the winners. Class 1A is better than Class 1B, and there is nothing that is going to change that. Now, what's going to happen for the rest of the heroes with the League of Villains and the Shiha Hazaikai gone, dusted, and gone in the wind? Well, we don't know. Will they take on and find the hidden villain group within a city, or will that villain group still stay there and just live in peace the way they want to? Nonetheless, even if they come to the forefront, it seems as if the power that Izuku in Class 1A holds will be more than enough, and far more than enough to take on whatever is needed to take on and whatever needs to happen. But with that said, that's the end of What If Deku Had a Pokemon Quirk. And if you enjoyed it, make sure to show some love. Leave a like, leave a sub, and leave a comment down below. All that good stuff. And yeah, that's all I gotta say. With some of these overpowered quirks, I know I don't necessarily go into like war arcs and stuff, because I mean, I'm not gonna force a war arc when there doesn't have to be one and when there shouldn't be one. And I'm pretty sure some of y'all kind of acknowledge that as well, where it's like he should have beat this person then and there, and we've like, I've had conversations with about that with people, that I don't necessarily force certain arcs just for the sake of forcing them, especially if someone is overpowered. If the quirk is overpowered, which I really do like doing overpowered quirks, if they are overpowered, there's no reason to force certain arcs just for the sake of forcing certain arcs. But yeah, eventually I do have some ideas in the wings that aren't as OP and will be a lot more balanced in terms of what's happening in the story and what's going on. And that will probably include war arcs and maybe other things happening to Deku, but that's something that I won't really get into right now. With that said, hope y'all enjoyed, like I said, and I hope all y'all have an amazing day. Later.